the luxury of doing the very first class of the camp. If I haven't met you before, or anything like that, my name is Chris Baines from England. I will try my best to talk in English, but if I fail, then please tell me. If you want to stop me at any point and ask questions, please do. I've been doing these camps 7 years now, so I'm a long time fan of road crawlers. If this is your first one, you'll really enjoy it. This class is gi, no gi, I don't care, I don't differentiate, I think they're the same thing. And it's going to be on sweep theory, my interpretation of sweep theory, why sweeps exist. So a slight background of how I got here. I've never done BJJ. I have a black belt, but I've never done BJJ. I didn't have a coach, pretty much ever. So I pretty much had to just figure out why things existed. And then every time I go to like a different gym and they do like a sweep or a guard pass or a guard, I had to figure out why that existed. So if you imagine all of jiu-jitsu wasn't written by some god or something like that on a stone tablet and handed down like 3,000 years ago, there's a reason why we have these techniques. There's a reason why there are guards. There's a reason why we have escapes. There's a reason why we have sweeps. Jiu-jitsu is just physics and biology. We apply ourselves to the machine and the techniques come out the other end. If you understand the machine, why things happen, you should be able to invent jiu-jitsu, in theory. You should be able to invent the techniques that already exist. So, because I didn't have the option of learning sweep by sweep, I had to figure out why sweeps existed. What was like the common thread amongst sweeps? I'd then play, I'd then go to different gyms and see if it worked, see if it matched what they were doing. And over time, I'd tweak that idea. So we're going to look at a couple of sweeps that you might have seen before, like the scissor sweep, half butterfly, what else? Flower sweep. Basic sweeps. But why they exist? What is the common thread amongst them? There are always going to be outlying techniques. Jiu-jitsu is very grey. It's chaos. So it's definitely not black and white, this is the law, but by and large it really does help. Because most of my roles, I pretty much invent my jiu-jitsu on the spot. I just do something and hope it works, even if I've never done that thing before. I just think, what if this will happen? And I just apply the machine and most of the time it works, or if it doesn't work, I know why it doesn't work. And that's going to be like a big part of this class, why your sweeps may not work, also how you can see sweeps and then shut them down. He has now arrived, I should talk enough for him to appear. This is Henry, who used to be my student. So the basic sweep I'll go through then is half butterfly to start off with. So my concept when it comes to sweeps is, number one, human beings are very much like a table or a four-legged furniture. So if you were to remove a leg from the table, so if I remove this one, the table doesn't fall sideways. It doesn't fall forwards. It falls diagonally. Here. That's going to seem quite obvious now, but when you do scissor sweeps, it's amazing how much that kind of falls out of people's heads. So the first thing I'm looking at then is I want to be able to remove a table leg, because that's what I want to send someone. I don't want them to be able to post. It's pretty obvious. So I remove one of those table legs. I then look at the diagonal. I saw that I'm not going to try and knock someone sideways, because they've still kind of got something they can kind of balance off. I want to knock them over that missing table leg by hitting the diagonal. Okay, so what's on the other side? So if I remove an arm, I'm going to be attacking the leg, try and send them over. The second part is center of gravity. So going back to this table, if I try and push the table over by lifting here, it doesn't go. But the more I go across that corner, the more easily I can lift. That's a good thing about jiu-jitsu, it's leverage, it's moment. The further away from a fulcrum I move, the easier it becomes. So I try and think, right, can I get under that? So those first two parts then, so easy one, which is like I said, the half butterfly. Here. So it's going to seem very simple, but once you kind of see these things, I'm going to show you some like mad reversals that I just use and that, this in action. So here's the table leg I want to remove, and here is where the lift is going to be. Put it on that diagonal. I'm now going to find the center of gravity. So if I lift him here, it's not going to happen. Okay? But the more, he's just going to move forward 1 inch. I'm going to try again. Okay, a bit easier, another inch. There we go, another inch. And we have it. Okay? I found the center of gravity. And the last part then is a sweep by definition is a rotation. Okay? So you are on top, in this position, your partner is on the bottom, in this position, and you're just going to swap. So the person on the bottom is going to go on top, and the person on top is going to go on the bottom. That is a sweep, by definition. Reversals, whatever. It's just a changing of that position, which means then that you have to go through this like 180-degree turn. So the person on the bottom has to go from here to here, and the person on top is going to go from here all the way down to here. So the most I want to send someone is about 180 degrees. I can go further, depending on your strength, etc. You do like 220-degree turns. But I'm going to have to try and turn, lowest resistance, I want to do 180 degrees. So if I'm here, my half butterfly, I've already dictated which way I want to send Henry. It's this way. Because I've already moved. If I'm here, I now have to go 180 degrees to get on top. If I'm here in this position, it's now about 150. So I've already shrunk my travel time. But also I can look at which way his body is, his hips. If I'm here, I'm completely stable, 180 degrees. If I go to here, it's now shorter. You know which way you want to sweep me. It's this way. And that's the difference. This to this. Because that's going to be the easier method. If you try and now sweep me this way, you've now got to take me back to the 180 and then take me over, which is just too long. So I can look at which way someone's hips are and then dictate off the sweep, off that, which way I want to sweep them. So again, seems pretty obvious, but it's amazing how many people would try like scissor sweeps and think this sweep's like rubbish, it doesn't work. And it all makes sense eventually. So I already set up which way I want to go because I want to make sure my travel time is as short as possible. I'm going to remove the table leg, this one, and that's where my lift is going to be. Pretty simple. Make sense? Okay. I said we're going to look. I don't want to teach you these sweeps. You should all know these sweeps. Unless you started jiu-jitsu 2 days ago, you should know these kind of sweeps. The reason why I'm showing them in these different aspects is because I want you to be able to invent sweeps. I want you to be able to look at jiu-jitsu and go, right, if I put this here, if I put this here, I should be able to send someone skyward. Does that make sense? Because jiu-jitsu is chaos, and I want to control chaos. So, easy enough. Spend 1 minute doing this, you go remove the table leg, and you go do the sweep. This is why as well, when you do the butterfly sweep, do this as well. Have your partner is on their knees, and you go try and lift them. No, it's not going to work. They're going to move forward 1 inch. And go again. Not going to work. Move forward another inch. There we go. He moves forward another inch. Or centimetre. I don't know what you guys have. Oh damn. I think backwards now. So I'm going to try and bring him forwards, find that centre of gravity. I don't want numbers. When you drill with me, I don't want you to do like an arbitrary number where you're doing like 5 sweeps each. I couldn't care less. Do one, but take your time to explore why that thing exists. Okay? I don't care for drilling. I think it's pointless. Sorry. No. So here, I want to feel why everything's working. I want both hips stable.
can I just, there we go, tilt him a little bit. If he tilts his body the other way, does it make it harder? Yeah, so I don't want him there. I want him, there we go, that'd be a better sweep. I want to move underneath him maybe, like there, get too much lift, here, way easier. Does that make sense? So I'm going to spend my time exploring why this exists using those 3 ideas. Looking at the rotation, so is it harder if I'm flat? Yeah. Easier here. Is it harder if he's tilted more the opposite way? Yeah. Or if he goes the other way? Yeah. Can I find his center of gravity? Can I pull him onto me? Or if he's miles away, then there's no sweep. So all these little things here will break your sweep. But by knowing why, you can fix them. Or abandon and move to something else and not get trapped and just playing useless jiu-jitsu. And that's the last part. This is really funny when I watch like beginners do scissor sweeps. They always stop here. Like, you stopped at 90 degrees. You literally got halfway and gave up. Which, if you ever get a chance, he's not here. Dad, if you ever get a chance to do Preet's unsweepable class, there's a great thing he teaches at this point here, where you can, it's equal, like the chance who's going to win this sweep. For me to sweep, I need to be able to send Henry here, and then move over the top. If Henry was to lift up my bottom leg at this point, he wins, because now he can get back to his knees, and he wins the fight. So if you do the same sweep to me. Sometimes I'll let people sweep me, just so I can mess with them halfway. I'll go over, I'm going to move, and I'll grab his leg. And then as he tries to get up, he can't get over the top. And then I win. And that works with an awful lot of sweeps, like tripod sweeps, single leg X sweeps, those kind of things. Like single leg X me. Bang. Okay, right now, to finish this sweep, I'm already in the right part. If I change the hip, here, stand up. Out. We'll go for that in a second anyway. So the first part then, examine that half box last sweep, that first section. Feeling the movement on the diagonal, take away the table leg, feel the rotation. If you shorten your rotation, does it get easier? If you lengthen your rotation, does it get harder? Feel what it's like with their rotation. If they're too far, does it make your life harder, or can you shorten it? This is a great thing about humans, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying it wasn't Henry. Humans, by definition, to walk forwards, you have to lift one leg. Okay? So naturally, you already rotate as you move. That's why judo guys think it's amazing when people walk, because you can just throw them through the air. And that's why white belts get swept so much, is because they move forwards and walking kind of like this, and then when they get to here, you just take them over. I think it's hilarious. But this student of mine did say to me, is it possible to walk without lifting your leg off the floor? Or taking your weight off your leg? And I just didn't answer, I just stared at him until he eventually figured out what he'd said. He tried it. Don't be that stupid. He won't watch this video. So, yeah, feel it, what happens if their hips are one way or the other. Feel what happens if you're under the center of gravity or not. Yeah, I'll give you a couple of minutes, enjoy, and then we'll come back, ask questions or not, and we'll do the next thing, the scissor sweep. Thank you, off you go. Does that make sense? It's very, very simple stuff, but it's going to get hopefully a bit more complex in the next half hour. Most sweeps, again, I don't say all, most sweeps kind of follow this in some way, shape or form. Including throws, including takedowns, they pretty much have to follow this kind of idea. You always remove something and then send them over it. So that's what we're going to go through then is the scissor sweep. One of the first sweeps you'll ever learn as a white belt, and it's also the first sweep you'll probably abandon as a white belt. And then you'll never use it again. But I think it's a great sweep. I love playing with it, but I also know why it doesn't work and why it can fall apart, so I know the points where I can hit it and then use it and read the jiu-jitsu. So, Okay, so normal looking kind of scissor sweep. Again, I'm not big on the whole idea of where you should hold. Like you have to hold the collar or the head or the elbow or the wrist. Couldn't care less. Like, at the end of the day, I'm removing a table leg and creating a grip that holds onto them in another way. I couldn't care if you hold the back of the elbow, the front of the elbow, the sleeve, fingers. Use the fingers. What do I care? You play nogi especially, yeah, get rid of it. Can't use it now. Can't put his hand on the floor, I've got it. So yeah, go into these ideas then. The reason scissor sweep works really well in drilling, but fails when you're rolling, is that hip problem we just looked at, the rotation problem. Because right now, I've already rotated like 90 degrees, I'm halfway through my sweep, he hasn't moved. I don't want to send him any more than 180 degrees. So if he's completely flat here, equal hips, I'll probably get the sweep. Okay, he tips over that way. But if he moves his weight like 1 inch the other way, it's no longer 180 degrees. And I have to send him back to 180 just to take him over. So you kill my scissor sweep automatically. That's why I remember learning this at Braulio's 10 years ago. And the way they drill the sweep for white belts is if this leg is elevated. Here. Because look, he's already now like 150 degrees. That's why the sweep works. That's why this leg gets elevated and everyone's like, oh cool, scissor sweeps. I go, so awesome. And then no one lifts their leg and everyone thinks the scissor sweep sucks. If I'm here, if he's 1 inch this way, sweep's not going to work. If he moves here, maybe. If he moves here, definitely. And it's that small. Okay? I want him at 180 or less. If he's at 180 plus, like 200, 220, it's not worth trying anymore. So again, reverse a lot of what I'm saying. If someone starts to set a sweep upon you, make it so that angles are bigger than 180. If someone drops into the scissor sweep here, they've already given away which way they're going to go. So just put your hip 1 inch to that way. The sweep no longer works. I use it a lot when I'm passing. So if I'm in half guard, for example. Here. I know if he gets an underhook, which way does he want to send me? Most of the time. He wants to dogfight me. Yeah, he wants to send me this way. So I drop my other hip, so now I dogfight me. I also lift this leg here, because again, going on the sweep idea, his sweep requires him to do a 180 degree turn, off his back to his front. Holding onto this bottom leg, just sitting your leg underneath it, turn. You now can't go over his leg, and it kills his sweep. Or lean on his leg. That's why you can't dogfight when someone's doing a knee slice. If you try to come up now, and I put my weight on his leg, can't do it. Great fun. Because I understand why the sweep works. He has to go do that 180 degree turn. If I just kill his ability to go over his leg, he no longer has a 180 degree turn. We're going back to the scissor sweep. So here's the table leg. So that's why I want to send him. So there's no sense, really, in me sending him this way. Yeah, I can maybe chop out that leg, but if he starts posting on it and stuff like that, it's going to be difficult. So actually, again, going back to Braulio's 10 years ago, when I first learned this, the guy I learned it from did this. But he never explained why. He just turned away and then swept someone. You can try and drill it and you think, okay, that seems odd. But the reason he did it is because, again, he's attacking with his right foot, going off the diagonal. Here's my table leg I'm removing, and here is where I'm generating my lift. I actually lifted his weight onto my right ankle and then sent him over with that. My left leg was just like a counterforce, so I didn't destroy myself. Yes?
Why does that turn around and lift up to the ankle, put the weight on the ankle? I don't understand.
I don't have to turn around, that's just because I was talking to you. Now, you can do it here. If I'm here then, now, I have his weight on my ankle, and that's where that force is coming from. So again, break down why this sweep wouldn't work. If I'm here, and I try it, I haven't found the centre of gravity. Sweep's going to have a hard time. If I don't have a table leg, sweep's going to have a hard time. If his rotation is more than 180, sweep is going to have a hard time. But if I can find the centre of gravity, Again, don't just crush them into your hips, you won't be able to move then. You have to like, bring them over. If I remove the table leg, I don't really care how. Use that hand if you want to. Let's see if that works. That's literally all my jiu-jitsu. Me just going, if this would work. Because it's all chaos. Here we go, let's see if that happens. Yeah, I guess it does. Make sense? I don't care what grips you use, couldn't care less. But again, try and break all those aspects. So you break one of those aspects and someone's sweeping you, the sweep only falls apart. Just by moving slightly off, plus 180 degrees, the sweep falls apart. Again, understanding which way they're going to send you. If they remove this arm, wonder where someone's going to sweep you. Probably over that arm. So bring it back. Well, that should be an instant sign. Like if Henry goes for the same sweep on me, don't do it yet. So if he goes and takes his arm away, so if he traps it, right, it's like, surprise, I wonder which way I'm going to get swept. Someone's going to load my weight over this side. Now he tries to sweep me. There's no point in me now barreling in here. Because I know which way I was going to send it. Does that make sense? So even when you're passing, a lot of times, half guard's a brilliant example of this. You can end up getting deep underhooks or anything like that, and then just go flying through the air. It's because you gave them a table leg. You hit it inside them, and now they go through it. Does that make sense? So you can read these scenarios a lot of the time, and we'll do it with the silent floor escape later, and it'll make a lot more sense. Yeah, try that. Try the scissor sweep. Feel what happens if their weight is off. Feel what happens if they can get the table leg back. And feel what happens when you bring their center of gravity onto you. Make sense? Off you go. And we'll do flowers. So I'll give you a problem. I'm going to figure it out. Okay, so what you're going to do, we're not going to do it, we want you to do it. You have one leg in, one leg out with your partner. This is Preet's, so I'll give him props for this because I think it's a great way of showing this idea. You have one leg in, one leg out, you hold on to each other's ankles, and you have a race so you can stand up first. Make sense? So obviously you're going to try and stand up or whatever. It's going to be hard to like go to your side to stand up without letting go of their ankles. So you have one leg in, one leg out. Hold on to the backs of their ankles, and have a race so you can stand up first. Okay?
You can't let it down.
You can, but if you let go, they can stand up. You can't let it. If I hold him to his legs, stand up. It's going to be dead difficult. But now he's let go of my legs, so I can stand up.
Oh, yeah.
What I mean, but I won't ruin the surprise. But try it. We'll have like 2 or 3 minutes of trying that, and we'll see what happens, and then we'll come back. Because again, you can stall. You can start seeing it. Nothing happens. To stand up, you have to let go of one of his legs. Well, why? Which one do I let go of? Okay, so have a go. It's a pretty great idea. Can't give it the idea back. So that's a really good speed drill for what's about to come next. So again, I give full credit to Preet for this. Changed my ideas on sweeps more. So one of the first moves you learn when you start jiu-jitsu is a technical getup. You know this thing, whatever you do, which is standing up on your lower leg. Okay. To stand up, I have a lower leg and an upper leg. It's very hard to stand up on your upper leg. Okay? To stand up, I pull out my lower leg, and I'm here. If someone's holding on to that lower leg, I can no longer stand up. It kills my rotation and other problems. And so when you're playing that game, so obviously you're going to have to let go of their legs at some point to stand up. Which one do you let go of? So if I'm here with Henry, we won't fully play it, but we'll give you a rough idea. Is if I go this way, if I make the fight this angle, I only have to worry about Henry's bottom leg. Because if he tries to stand up whilst on this bottom leg, stand up, he can't. But if he now lets go of my bottom leg, I'll win. Because now I'm trying to stand up. You can't. But if he changes his hips, now stand up. Now he can. Now he wins. So that's the game of that sweeping idea. So I've got to understand which is the bottom leg and which is the top leg, because that's what's going to dictate the rotation and their ability to stand up and finish the sweep. So going back to those two that we've already done, when I do the scissor sweep, or the half butterfly, or even a tripod here, if he goes over, we both now have a bottom leg. Okay? So my ability to win is my ability to get over his bottom leg and stop him from using it. But if he can do what we just did and pull his bottom leg back, he'll stand up. It's the same with me. If I'm not fast with my sweep, about pulling my bottom leg back underneath, there's no sweep here. So even when you got to this part of the sweep, it's still crucial to carry on the idea of the rotation. That's why I want to stress that. Is we'll have a little game now, is we're going to go half butterfly sweep again. We're going to go to this point, and then you're going to fight who gets up first. Okay? Because just because you got knocked over didn't mean you get swept. You just get advantaged, whatever it is. So you're going to do a half butterfly sweep. And you're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. And you're going to see who gets up first. So if you're Henry, for example, and you can get up first, why should you ever be swept again? Because it could be a case that someone controls your bottom leg here, so I could go here, try and go on top, doesn't let me, so I change my bottom leg. And slip it up. That's why it can be super hard to sweep back up sometimes. It's because they can just change, which is their bottom leg, and nobody can. Make sense? To try it, you're going to do a half butterfly sweep, pause at the 9-degree angle, then you're going to go 3, 2, 1, go, and then fight to see who gets on top first. So in theory, you'll never get swept again. Find it out. There you go. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Harder to sweep, easier to sweep. You know why your sweeps may fail? Sweeping at a high level? I don't know. 2 more techniques in 10 minutes. Sorry for talking so much. Flower sweep. Again, I like figuring these things out and then going back through techniques I've seen over the years, like flower sweep or butterfly or anything like that. And then seeing how they work and seeing if I can add these ideas in and if it makes the technique better, like better than what I knew. So the flower sweep. Whatever it's called. How do you do it? Drag, over, I don't really care. I don't think this is something real. Yeah. And there, again, here's my table leg. Where am I going to lift from? This corner, where my hand is, in between his legs. It's warm. And again, so part 1, rotation. I know which way I'm going to send him. He's already tilting that way. If he'd loaded his weight on the other hip, no, it's not going to be that easy anymore. But if I'm making rotate already, it's easier. That's why we hold on to here. A, to trap the arm, B, to start the rotation. So the rotation issue sorted. Second issue, the table leg, got that out of the way. Diagonal, because we're going off the far hip. Third issue is center of gravity. If I try and lift him now, no, not going to happen. We're going to test something. But without moving Henry, I'm just going to move myself. I'm going to try and lift again. Maybe not. Keep going there. Right, where's that center of gravity? There we go. And like magic. So all the ideas rolled into one. Again, these techniques weren't invented by some god and handed down to us. They are, there's a machine at work. We apply ourselves to the machine. These techniques fall out the other end. They're just examples of the machine in action. Feel it. So here's one. Start the rotation. Then feel that center of gravity. Here, I don't want to hit anyone like strain too hard. I may not stop laughing. Move yourself underneath, don't move them. Find that center of gravity. There we go. and here. Again, the bottom leg issue. Here's his bottom leg, here's my bottom leg. I have to go over the top of it. All these things happen pretty much in every sweep. Maybe some outliers, but by and large, this is what happens when you sweep someone. So quickly do that, 2 minutes, feel it. Again, I don't want numbers. I don't care if you do 5 or 10, woohoo. Or you have 1 minute or 2 minutes. These are arbitrary. I care if you explore the technique once, but take like 2 or 3 minutes just exploring it, okay? Figure out why it's working. Figure out if you can apply these ideas and if the sweep gets better or worse. You tell me. Make sense? Off you go.
So my first camp was September-ish, November, October 2013. I was a white belt, and this is the first thing I ever showed because I was catching loads of blue belts with it and they weren't understanding how this was happening. So it's quite good I'm doing this all these years. Side control. But again, it's the idea in action. So this is my favourite side control escape for a long time. Why? So, I start my rotation. I'm already lying this way. If I'm lying this way, it's not going to make a lot of sense. I think about his rotation. Here's my table leg. I'm getting rid of. So here is where I generate my force. I'm going to help his rotation by kicking him in the hips and start it all off by throwing myself off this leg. All at the same time. So, remove this table leg. Hit the diagonal force, start the rotation, and throw myself over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's all those little bits just happening. And if they lift their hips to try and kill your ability to sweep them, this only happens. So if I go for the sweep and then they lift their hips up, and then they push themselves back. Now that's the action, now it's the same thing. Here's the table leg, here's my lift, and I'm under a center of gravity, I get that one. But again, it's just the concept in action. It just happens. You understand why sweeps exist, you just invent these things as you go along. Make sense? Try it, I'll show you once more. Try both. And then it's go. So 1, 2, 3. Or if he resists, he lifts his hips up, pushes back. There we go. Make sense? Off you go. Make sense? Not make sense? I don't want to necessarily teach sweeps. I don't want to teach techniques. I have to use techniques to show the ideas in action. But now, just like have those in the back of your head for the rest of the camp. Like if you're trying to sweep something that isn't working, think of those ideas. Think of your rotation, their rotation. Think about if you've got their center of gravity. Think if you haven't got a good control of the table leg idea. And then it should dictate then whether you abandon your sweep. Think I can't fix these issues. Or you can think, right, now I know why it's not working, I wonder if I can just add that little part in and run that and send them skywards. Yeah, thank you for your time. It's the first class of the camp. Gareth's up next, or Cockerel, depending on what your plans are. Since it's the first class, can I get a photo please underneath the banner? So, thank you.